Hey everybody, Hein here, and I'm back with video number 2 of ADHD with kids. First of all, a massive thank you to every single one of you that watched, that liked, that shared my first video. Thanks for subscribing to my channel and for all the messages of support that I've received this week. You all play a massive part in making the second video, so thank you again. It was really awesome receiving all those messages. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, the purpose of these videos is to hopefully help someone out there going through something similar, or even just to help you understand the mind of someone with ADHD. In today's video, I'll share a little bit more about myself and how my undiagnosed ADHD led to depression and anxiety, and how a school teacher calling me dumb shaped my future. But for now, let's go back to the beginning. I was born and raised in a small town in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, called Newcastle. And I was about 7 years old when we moved to an even smaller town called White River. It's a beautiful little town in the heart of the Lowveld. And this is where I completed primary school at White River Primary and high school across the road at Rob Ferreira High School. Our little family consisted of mom and dad and my brother, who's 2 years older than I am. Look, like most of us, I wasn't a big fan of school, especially primary school. It was a new school with new friends, new teachers, new house, new everything really. So at the start it was a little tough to make new friends. But lucky for me, I had two of the best humans on planet Earth as my parents. I really can't say enough about my parents. I really love them. They are special, kind, funny human beings that raised my brother and me to have strong morals and values in life, a lot of respect for other people. My old man has got a great sense of humor, so there was always laughing in the house, and we were told regularly that we were loved. So you can't ask for much more than that. My brother and I, on the other hand, I think we drove our parents a little bit crazy. We were like most brothers, competing over everything. And I was that typical youngest child who would run to my parents fearing for my life. And then my brother would get in trouble. I can't remember how many times I heard the phrase, "Just wait until mom and dad leaves." So if you're watching this, my bad. Now, fast forward to probably standard 3, which it was called back then, or grade 5 as it is now. I think I was about 9 or 10 years old, sitting in math class, a subject that I hated because I wasn't very good at it. And looking back now, an undiagnosed ADHD diagnosis had a massive role to play in this. The teacher would explain a problem and I would lose them on like sentence number 2. And from there, it was just complete chaos. I also struggled during tests because I would only sort of read half of the sentence and write down my answer. My dad always used to remind me that I need to read the entire sentence to make sure that I understand what they are asking for. For instance, I'd read, "Little Johnny has 5 apples. He gives 2 away." And I'd be like, done, easy, 3. Boom, what's next? I'm nailing this. In reality, the question was, little Johnny has 5 apples. He gives 2 away. And then he found another 4 apples. How many apples does Johnny have? So there were lots of moments after the tests outside the classroom where the kids would talk about the tests, and I think to myself, how the hell did Johnny end up with 7 apples? He only had 5 to start off with, and then he gave some away. So one of the most significant moments in my young life happened during math class, which is probably why I hate math so much. Again, I would do my best to listen, but eventually I'd get lost and I'd zone out. So on this day, the teacher was walking through the students in the class, stopped next to me, and then said something that stuck with me to this day. It struck a nerve deep in my soul, and it took 30 odd years until my recent diagnosis for me to let that statement go. So the teacher looked down at my work and in front of the whole class sighed and said, "How can one child be so dumb?" And I was shattered. I felt so humiliated and wanted the world to swallow me whole. That afternoon, when my mom picked me up from school, I just broke down and started crying. She asked me what was wrong, and After about a minute, I finally managed to say that my math teacher called me dumb. Enter raging lioness mama. I heard the tone of her voice instantly change, and she said to me, "You stay here, I'll be back soon." And I remember thinking to myself, I've never seen my mom that angry before, and if I was that teacher, I'd run, because she was about to get the beating of her life. So thanks, Mama Bear. Thanks for having my back. I love you. Now, if I wasn't sensitive to words before that event, I certainly was after. So from then on, every form of perceived negativity would make me shut down instantly. So every coach that would tell me I was doing something wrong, or a boss that told me I didn't do something right or should have done it differently, would just make me doubt myself. And eventually I'd quit. In my personal life as well, if there was a misunderstanding or an argument, I would take the one thing that was said and turn it into, how can one child be so dumb? And I would switch off. I would disengage, I would check out, and I wouldn't talk any further. Now look, this might sound like I'm playing my small violin, but those words were ingrained into my mind. They became part of my identity. They became part of every missed opportunity, every failed attempt, every loss, every wrong decision made in work or business. I would tell myself I failed because I am dumb. If I didn't get that job, or didn't do so well in school, it would be that. On the outside, I was a happy, funny guy. I wasn't unpopular. I had really good friends. I had lots of friends, but on the inside, there was this immense fear of failure. And it was a feeling that, I wasn't good enough or strong enough or smart enough to achieve my full potential. I always looked at the school rugby team, and I felt like, if just I wasn't so dumb, I'd be able to play in that team. Or look at kids that's going off to university, and I think, if only I wasn't so dumb, I would have done better in school, and I would have received the marks that was good enough to get me into university. Now, that constant negative thought that I had in my head carried on into my adulthood, and eventually got so much that I started suffering from depression and anxiety. My inability to complete tasks or push through to become the best version of myself was holding me down like a 1,000-kilogram weight that was strapped to my feet. Those thoughts became a constant every single night before bed. The overthinking got so out of control. I would lie in bed and I'd go over scenarios in my head of what I should have said or what I should have done. I'd go back to things that happened years ago, and I'd reply with what I should have said or what I should have done, or I wished I did this or said this. I wasn't bad at sport at all. I think I was actually pretty good at sport. I am good at sport. I'm good at a lot of things, but the ADHD and what I believed in my head acted as a handbrake that would just hold me back. I could just never get to that next level. I think what other people found difficult, I would find easy, but still they'd outperform me because I would lose interest. I would zone out, and I'd go on to the next thing. The perfect example of this is the 20 unfinished paintings that's standing in my garage. Or my Sports Pics NZ Instagram profile that hasn't seen a new photo posted in nearly 3 years. I've always loved sports, and I also have this creative side to me that I sort of smashed together, and I got into sports photography. I think it was in about 2016. I reached out to a local sports photography agency. I just called up the guy and I said, "Hey, what do I need to do to get into sports photography?" He said to me, "Go down to your local sports field, take some pictures, send them to me, and let's see, if you can shoot the action." And that's what I did. A month later, I was pitch side to the New Zealand men's hockey team, the Black Sticks, taking on Korea. Another couple of months later, I was in the middle of Mount Smart Stadium photographing the Warriors as they ran out for their NRL clash against the Manly Sea Eagles. And I think it was about almost a year to the day that I first picked up my camera and took a photograph of sport, that I was at Eden Park in Auckland on the field, living out my childhood dream as a sports photographer. I was taking photos of the Proteas lifting a trophy after they beat the Black Caps in a T20 series. Now, I'll never forget this. I remember it like it was yesterday. All of those moments of not feeling good enough, not feeling like I could achieve anything, just boiled to the surface in that moment. And I was driving home and I started crying uncontrollably. I was so immensely proud of myself. I was so relieved, overwhelmed, overjoyed at what I had just done that I had to stop my car because I couldn't see because I was crying so much. Not long after that, I was back at Eden Park, rubbing shoulders with the Blues when they played against the Bulls in the Super Rugby. My most viewed photo is one that I took at Auckland Grammar versus King's College schoolboy rugby game, and that has like over 3 million views. But like many other things, that soon faded away as the ADHD kicked in again, took full effect, and photography took a back seat. I eventually sold my camera, and I haven't been pitch-size since. And I never understood why I was the way I was. Why am I so good at stuff, but I can never just push through and become better? Why did I get that math question wrong? Why didn't I understand the question? Why did I fail with so many things in my life? Why did it always feel like I didn't belong, or that this wasn't the right job for me, or why I gave up on so many things? And the answer to those questions came when I was diagnosed with ADHD. It was like someone switched a light on after 38 years, and for the first time in my life, everything made sense. I made sense. In an instant, all of that depression, anxiety, fear of failure, disappointment, losses, failed ideas, businesses, it just made sense. It took 30 years for me to finally look in the mirror, smile to myself, and say, I am not dumb. I have ADHD. Look, that's all I have for you today, my friends. As always, it's a massive pleasure to share my story with you. I will continue to do so. But please remember to like this video on YouTube, share this video as wide and as many times as you can, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you again next week when I talk a little bit more about my two boys and their journey with ADHD. Drop a comment or question below, and I will see you guys again soon. Thank you.